left to lose. That's why I'm healing with the blues. Such a pain inside. The love that's there for me, I have denied. I've never had the blues this long, this deep, this wide. And so I'm healing with the blues. I told you to remember it because I'm going to sing it. Healingwiththeblues.com. So tonight we're talking about 7 lessons, 7 chakras, going from grief to grace. That's what this is about. But tonight I'm going to use my card so I don't miss anything. But tonight is not just to talk about grief. It's a journey through healing. And we're going to start with the chakras. And if you don't know what chakras are, they are energy centers in your body that relate to your endocrine system, relate to your spiritual part of you. And that's really what we're talking about, is the parts of you that don't really get all that much attention. You know, when we have a symptom, it's physical. But we don't really talk too much about mental, emotional, and spiritual symptoms. We kind of let those go. And so that's what we're focusing on tonight. This is a spiritual and energetic way of looking at how people are in the world, how we actually operate. So my name is Dr. Tanya English. I've been in the practice of healing for over 35 years. I started as a massage therapist and then said, I'll just be a chiropractor. And I came out to Iowa from the East Coast and went to Palmer. And then after practicing chiropractic for many years, I felt myself being called to do more energy healing because I'm always looking for the root cause of people's problems. And the root cause isn't always physical. It's also mental, emotional, and spiritual. So we want to go to that and see what's really happening there. But that's another class, so I'll tell you about that some other time. And as I was doing energy healing, I also became a blues singer. I didn't know this was going to happen in my life. I do have a Bachelor of Fine Arts in theater production, so I was used to performing and setting up things to perform, all the production aspects of that. And it wasn't until in 1994 when I was finishing up chiropractic college and I was pregnant and waiting for our baby to come, and I went into labor and things took a turn and our baby was stillborn after a beautiful pregnancy. And so as I'm lying there in the hospital bed thinking, why is this happening? A thought came into my mind that said, do you really believe everything happens to the highest good, or do you just say that? And so I was convicted at that moment. I needed to look for the good. And I decided that I did believe everything happens to the highest good. I do believe that things happen for us and not to us. And so looking at it from that point of view, show me the good. I want to see it. Bring it on. But that means I have to take action. I have to look for the good. I have to find it. It's not just going to be handed to me. And there's other aspects of this that I'm going to talk about tonight. But heartbreak affects all layers of us. It affects everything, our spirit, our voice. It affects our emotions, our sense of safety. All take a hit when something tragic happens. It even influences our ability to trust life. So these experiences move us through, they move through us energetically. That's what we're going to look at tonight, the 7 chakras. And we're going to walk through all 7. So get ready. So the first one that we're going to start with, we're going to start from the top down tonight, is the crown chakra. And the crown chakra is all about divine connection, your connection to source. What are you downloading? Now, having gone to Quaker high school and sat through meeting for worship, open worship, that means no program. Just speak if you feel moved by the Holy Spirit. And standing and speaking and in meeting with 400 teenagers and a few adults in the room. It's pretty powerful. I'm used to letting the Holy Spirit speak through me. I'm used to listening to that. But that's something that people have to learn to discern. So discernment's part of that. It's a big word in Quakerism, discernment. What's Source telling you? So I speak to lots of people who have been beaten over the head with the Bible. So I use very secular words to talk about this. So I'll interchange those words. I'll say source, that's God. I'll say the source of all that is, also God. So you'll hear me use those terms. This is all about your divine connection. And this lesson is about sharing your story. When we share our story, we're not alone at the highest level because God's always with us. Source is always there. In fact, in chiropractic terms, we have innate intelligence. This is the intelligence that's in every single cell that knows that this is a fingernail cell and not a liver cell. It knows what to do. But grief can isolate us. It can keep us away from others. But stories bring people together. So telling your story can bring people to you, can break down walls, and can bring more compassion in. And let God in too, if we let God in the story. So we share our humanity, we share our story, and every time Ed and I have shared our story of how we met or what happened when we had our son that was stillborn, walls break down. We could watch it happen in front of us. People just start to like let everything go. All the things that they have built up. And stories become service. So you're serving your source, your personal source. You're serving that when you're telling the story, especially if God is in the story. So it's a really great thing to do to bring people closer together. Thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you. No, we're going to change colors because crown chakra is purple. Or you can see it as opalescent. And the thing about sharing is that when we share our pain honestly, it really stops suffering. It stops the suffering when we share it. So being vulnerable is really important. Being vulnerable enough to share your story. Worried blues, worried blues, you don't know my mind. Worried blues, worried blues, you don't know my mind. 'Cause when you see me laughing, I'm laughing to keep from crying. That's another part of what happens to us when we're in grief. We show something different to people, so it doesn't always get seen. All right, so crown chakra is about sharing your story. Now, this chakra is called third eye. It's right here. It's your pineal gland. All of the chakras are related to endocrines. So what do you think the crown chakra's endocrine gland is? It's your brain. It's a transmitter and receiver, by the way. So you can transmit information and you can receive it. Normally it's good to receive it from the source of all that is. Then you know you're getting the right information. And this is about finding your healing language. Because everybody responds to things differently, right? So you might think what Jim brought tonight was spicy, but he deliberately left all the spicy stuff out. even though some people might still find it's just how we perceive things. Intuition is here, perception, being open to your intuition and how you use it. If you're used to using it, if you don't know how to use it, if you ignore it, everybody has it. Everybody has 7 senses. You have the first 5, and then you have intuition and extrasensory perception, psychic ability. Everybody has it. It's a spirit. It's a gift of the spirit. But some people put more attention on it than others, and so they're using it more. You know, it's like any muscle. If you use it, then you don't lose it. So that's where intuition comes in. So finding your healing language is all about finding what is going to add to you, what's going to help you feel safe. Because when you're in a grief situation, you go into fight or flight or freeze, and that cuts off your digestion, your immune system stops working. All of these things stop working because you're in fight or flight. You don't need to digest your meal if you're running away from danger. All the blood in your body goes to your large muscle groups. But the reason I'm talking about this is because I can't sing a hymn without crying. I cannot do it. Lori's asked me over and over again, and I'm like, you don't understand. You can't sing and cry. It's almost impossible to do. But because my heart is so open to what is there in that hymn, I mean, what were we talking about? We're talking about Jesus dying for us and being raised and resurrected. All of those things are very touching to me because I really have that relationship with him. But blues was medicine for me. I could put my grief into blues. And what does your soul recognize as healing? Think about this for a minute. What does your soul recognize as healing? Maybe it's writing, maybe it's cooking. What do you do that's healing for you? That's your healing language. For me, it's blues, music and singing. Music is a great medicine for that. That's why people like to listen to sad songs after a breakup. Something like that happens and you want to listen to a sad song, and it helps you get the feeling out in a really safe way. And it's really good for you to do that. Learning to trust what heals you is really important as well. Because you don't have to listen to blues music and have it be healing. A lot of people think, oh, it's just sad music. Well, it's not. There's all different kinds of blues. But is it healing for you to listen to Debussy or to listen to Anna play? Amazing. Healing is deeply personal. So when you are thinking about this, what is healing language for you? The blues gave my grief somewhere to live. And so I could continue with that. It was really helpful. Okay. Next on our hit parade, and by the way, if you have any comments or questions, please feel free. Have you thought of what your healing language is yet? Shout it out. It's okay.
Nature.
Mm-hmm. That's a really good one.
Art.
Yes.
Walking.
Mm-hmm.
Gardening.
Yep. I was the queen of transplanting. My friend said, you're the queen of transplanting. Oh, I don't like that over there. I'm going to put it over here. Yeah, all of those things are really healing.
Journaling.
Yep. Journaling, prayer, meditation. Okay, so throat chakra. This is dark blue, this is regular blue. This one's purple. Throat chakra is all about not letting what if steal your life. You know, when that happened to us, one of the things that happens is you start thinking about, what if this happens? So the baby dies, what if Ed dies? What if my sister dies? Well, that could happen. This happened. Why wouldn't it happen? I mean, if this can happen, anything can happen. And we can really get very wound up in those what ifs. It's very important to let yourself stay away from that. The throat chakra is all about truthful expression. It's all about your divine will being expressed through you. It's about naming it and claiming it. So very important to speak truth and not fear. Big difference. So me saying, what if Ed dies, is me speaking fear. The truth is probably not going to happen at the same time as the baby dies, right? That's a little bit different. So,
the source of paranoia.
yeah, it can be if it's let go and it just runs. So we have to stop repeating the negative stories, the fear stories, and start speaking possibility. What's the possibility? That's catastrophic thinking that we do when we're stuck in what ifs. Internal narratives, when there's nobody there to tell you that's not true. You're not having dialogue with anybody else, so you have this thing that keeps rearing its ugly head, and there's nobody to stop it, and you can't stop it because you're not in charge of you right now. The grief is. Fear loops, just going back over and over and over it. But here's my question. What if joy is possible? What if something good could come out of this? What if this is going to send me on a different path in my life and my life is going to open up? Those are what ifs too. What if I live happily ever after? What if that happens? So if there's someone around you that's going down this spiral, you can counteract that by saying, well, let's play that what if game. What if things go well? What if you get whatever you want? That's a great way for you to name it and claim it. And it's powerful because what you put in your words is what's going to show up in your life. It's true. The stories we repeat become the world that we live in. So we want to repeat good stories. Why am I treated so bad? Tell me why am I treated so bad? I'm all alone as I sing this song. Hear my call. I've done nobody wrong, but I'm treated so bad. It's a mighty long lane. It ain't got no end. It's a bitter wind. It don't ever change. I think I heard somebody call my name. Further up the road, things are gonna change, but I'm treated so bad. But I'm treated so bad. Singing about it can get rid of it too. All right. That's a great song by the Staple Singers. All right.
The gland, the thyroid there.
Yep. Let's see. I need the green one. Okay. There's a color I don't have, and that's yellow. So I'm going to use a different color for that. But right now,
Can I add something to that? So
yeah.
it's a bit of obscure Viking Age lore. That, Scandinavians are famously sort of reticent, they don't use words easily. And there's some speculation that is an old tradition in pagan Scandinavia that words had incredible power.
Yep.
And so you really wanted to guard them carefully because they had an effect in the world. And that's also, they think, why perhaps the Norse, the Vikings, didn't really have a written language. They had the runes, but they were mainly used for like ceremonial markings and such. So that idea of the power of words makes me think of that.
Yeah. Okay. What's the heart chakra have? What's it all about? It's about love. It's about connection. It's about, it's a super manifester when it's open and receiving. It's a good balance of receiving and giving. It's connected to source all the time. It's amazing. Heart chakra is a beautiful, beautiful thing when it's open, when it's not shut down. And that's why I say signs are everywhere. Because signs often arrive through love. And I'll give you some ideas of what happened to Ed and I. So we were on our way to the meeting house where we were getting married, and I was already pregnant. And we went by a Catholic church, and we saw a little white coffin going into a hearse. It's a pretty significant thing to see on your wedding day, on the way to the meeting house. We were also in a childbirthing class, and our teacher said, I'm going to show you I'm going to show you still photos of births. I'm so sorry I said that. You think she was affected by what happened to us? She was. And that was later, right? We were sitting in our apartment that faced the Mississippi River, about a block up from the river drive in Davenport, and just being in the space of grief, because we had just come home from the hospital, and I was looking out the windows, and we had a bank of windows in front of us that looked out over the next house, which is on a hill, so it was pretty nice. And a blue balloon went floating by the windows. It didn't go up. It floated horizontally in front of the windows. And I looked at Ed and I said, did you see that? And he said, yeah, I did. And we went outside to see if there were any parties around or anything going on, and it was completely quiet. There was nobody outside. And I thought, when I saw that balloon, I just had this deep feeling of peace, like, oh, it's really okay, we're fine. Very interesting. I don't know if you are familiar with the movie The Red Balloon. It was shown when we were kids about these two balloons that found each other. It's an old French film that they would show to children, and it was a lovely film. And so this blue balloon triggered this memory of the red balloon. And I thought, well, there's a blue balloon. Why is it blue? I had a son. Why is it floating by my windows? It's telling me everything's okay. It was just the most beautiful thing. And then later on, we had a little dog at the time, and she had never done anything like this. She went over, picked a little stuffed lamb out of the cradle, came over and put it at my feet. She never did anything like that. She was kind of wild. And then I was taking a shower, and I started to lose consciousness, and Ed came in and caught me before I fell. And how he knew that was happening, he doesn't know. He just knew he needed to be there. So it's things like this. I know people see birds when people pass, and they feel like that's a sign for them, or a butterfly. Things like that happen, and they're everywhere. And if we're aware of it and we ask for it, we can see that. We can see those beautiful signs that come to us, because it's helping to comfort us. It's not there to convince us of anything. It's there to comfort us. That's my belief. Love leaves echoes. So we have this love, and the object of our love is not there, and what's in its place? The echo of love. So that's heart chakra. Now, this is the color I don't have. So we're going to pretend that this is yellow. Okay. Whoops. So your solar plexus, right here. You figured out where heart was, right? It's right here. You're so smart. Solar plexus is right here. Do you know why it's called the solar plexus? Anybody? Okay. This is so interesting. Well, it's interesting to me. The solar plexus is yellow, hence solar. And it's yellow because it's a huge collection of nerves that is like a braid of nerves. That's why a plexus is a braid. And it's yellow because it's covered with myelin. That's the fatty covering on all your nerves. And so there's a big yellow sun right here. And we call it the brain for your body, right? Brain for your body. And it connects to all the organs, everything. Ask for healing to show up. The solar plexus is all about your own personal power. It's about your self-esteem. When I see somebody who's really sad a lot or is going through something really intense, their self-esteem takes a hit. And so they're not having personal power. I do a technique, it's a kind of a healing technique, I say, called an intuitive energy scan. And that's where I'm looking at people's chakra energy. I'm intuitively looking, not with my eyes, with my third eye. I'm looking intuitively at the person's energy. And I'm seeing where things may be stuck. And stories come out of that. And ideas come out of that. And I can see where blockages might be happening. And we talk about what I'm seeing, and we all, the two of us, the person that I'm working with, we kind of fill in things. Like, does that make sense to you? Yes, that's about this. So it may be that they've never experienced that before, somebody seeing them in that holistic way, but it's very helpful to know where blocks are. And the solar plexus, there's always a moment where we decide, okay, I'm going to heal. Hopefully, there's always this happens. I'm going to heal. This is what I'm going to do. I'm going to heal from this. I'm willing to heal. I make the commitment to myself that I'm going to heal. So we do things like prayer and ask for support. And if your solar plexus has taken a hit and you don't feel powerful and you don't have any self-esteem left because everything's messed up, you know, when I first came home from the hospital and that experience, I thought, why aren't the trees blue and the sky green? I mean, everything's changed. It should be completely different, but it's not. It's all the same. But I kept thinking, like, what? Everything should be so different right now. And we choose healing because we want to avoid collapsing. And it's a really brave thing to do, to come outside of yourself and have the courage to ask for help. That's a really big step. And I don't take it lightly when people ask me. Even asking for help is an example of power. The power to know I need support. So when I'm laying there in the hospital bed thinking, this is so bizarre. I had no idea this was going to happen in my life. You know, I was going to meet a nice guy and have family, maybe. I don't know what was going to happen. But this was not on my bingo card at all. And I thought, you know, God, just put me wherever I need to be for healing. I don't care where it is. It doesn't matter to me. But I know healing can come from very strange places, and it doesn't matter. Just put me where I need to be. And that's when, in July of that year, we were at the Mississippi Valley Blues Fest, and I went into the tent stage to see the Blind Boys of Alabama perform. And I had a very big healing experience there with waves and waves of love flowing through me. And I came out of there different than when I went in. And Ed met me, because of course he didn't want to go with me. He wanted to go to the main stage and see the big act. And he came up to me and he said, "Are you okay?" And I said, "Yeah, I'm really okay. I feel good." Good. So being in the willingness to heal is so important for us. And so asking for healing to show up wherever. I had a healing there. I had another healing in Sedona when I was there. I was having Achilles plantar fasciitis on my right foot. I was hiking all over the place in pain constantly. And I was like, this is not going to bother me here. I'm not going to deal with this here. I'm just going to do what we're doing. And I kept getting information while I was there. It's a very highly charged, energetic place. And so there's lots of places you can go there. And I was sitting between the Bell Rock, which is a big round rock, and the Courthouse Rock, which is a big monolithic rectangular rock. And I was in a place called the Chalice, which is a flat place between the two. And I heard a voice say to me, do you get it now? The rock doesn't move. The rock is always there. It's God's love for us. It's very humbling to have that happen and to know that, like, the rock is going to get rained on, it's going to get snowed on, it's going to get wind, it's going to be at night, it's going to be at day, and it doesn't move. And that's what is there for us, that love. And we hold it back all the time. What if we just let ourselves fall into it with abandon? Wouldn't that be something? So, ask for healing to show up. Always a good idea. Okay. So, next is sacral chakra. And this is about, oh yes, your reactions. This is a short for reactions. Are your power. You know, we can't decide where the wind is going to come from, but we can adjust our sails. Have you ever heard that before? I grew up sailing, so that's very familiar to me. You can have all kinds of things happen in your life. You can't stop the pain from coming. You can't stop things from happening, but you can adjust your reaction to it. So, sacral chakra is all about your emotions. It's all about where you feel things. Right here, about 2 inches below your belly button, right there, sacral chakra. And it's also where people like to shove their emotions that they don't want to feel. So I work a lot on the sacral chakra. Your sacral bone is this bone right here. It's a triangular bone. Sacral means sacred. It's pretty sacred. Think about what's around there. All of the organs for reproduction are there for women, and pretty sacred. It's also the keystone for your pelvis, because your pubic bone joins in the front, and then you have your 2 ilium, which are these big hip bones here, and then the sacrum joins them in the back. So I'll give you a little tip here. If you're going to bend over, point your toes toward each other a little bit, and then bend over, because if you have your feet out like this, it locks up your sacrum. So you can't bend as far. So just a little tip there to keep you from hurting yourself. And we can't heal emotions that we refuse to feel. You just can't do it. You have to feel them. And so maybe you'll cry like I do. I cry at parades. I cry at commercials. It's okay. It's just all coming out. That's emotions. That's appropriate emotion. Being told not to cry, that's inappropriate emotion. Being told not to feel, that's inappropriate, especially for children, because now you're teaching them that their feelings don't matter, and that's our gauge for how we operate in the world, is our feelings. Don't listen to your intuition, right? That happens a lot. So people wanted to blame somebody for what happened to us. So unfair. And Ed used to say, no, it's not about fairness. Unfair is paying $12 for a hamburger. That's unfair. This is our child. We are not going to put blame and shame on this being, on this life. He got a lot done in 9 months. his life was important to us to uphold in a way that didn't have bitterness and blame and shame around it. And believe me, people wanted to blame because we were having our baby at home. And when we got to the hospital, the first person to blame us was the doctor. You shouldn't have done that. You were led down the garden path. And I'm like, you know, they've never lost a baby. How about you? It was just one of those things where people don't want to, it's easy to blame. Let me just say that. It's easy to blame somebody. But where does that get anybody? Pretty much nowhere. And I was taught to walk in forgiveness. So why do I need to blame somebody? This is life or death. It's not about that. You have to be emotionally honest, and you have to allow grief to move, because your reaction is your power. My reaction was, what can I get from this? If God is for me, who can be against me? If I'm always being added to and not taken away, how is this adding to me? Let me find it. Let me look for it, because it's there. That's not a lie. That's truth. And pain becomes suffering when it doesn't move. So people come into me and they might say, well, I had the pain here, and now it's over here, and I go, good. That's great. That means your pain is moving. We want that. We want pain moving. We don't want it staying stuck in the same place over and over again. That's a problem. It's a bigger problem. So things don't happen to us, they happen for us. So how is this for me? How can I find what is in here that's for me? Because here's a pile of pony poop, so there must be a pony somewhere. Let me find the pony. It's got to be there. That's one of my favorites. I love that. I wish I had a pony. Okay, so sacral chakra. Very, very important to feel your feelings. Very, very important to let them out. It brings a tear to my eye when I begin to realize I've cried so much since you've been gone. I guess I'm gonna drown in my own tears. I sit and cry just like a baby child. My pouring tears are running wild. If you don't think you'll be home soon, I guess I'm gonna drown in my own tears. I know it's true, into each life some rain must surely fall. But I'm so blue, living here without you. It feels like it's raining more and more. Why don't you think you better come on home, so I won't be so all alone? If you don't think you'll be home soon, I guess I'm gonna drown in my own tears. That's what it feels like. All right. And let's see. The last one. Can you believe we've made it all the way through to the seventh, the first chakra? We started with number 7, crown chakra. Then we went to number 6. Where's that? Third eye, right? Then we went to number 5, throat chakra. Then number 4, heart chakra. Number 3, solar plexus. Power center, we call it the power center. Sacral chakra, and this one is the root chakra. This is listen to the bigger story. Like I keep saying, you know, it was really weird because we didn't think this was ever going to happen, and it showed up, and this is a pretty big deal, and I'm laying there in the bed going, why is this happening? I'm 33 years old, and my baby's died inside me. How weird is that? Just on the face of it, there's too many things that are weird about it. And so, what's the bigger picture? What's the bigger story? He had a life. It didn't go well during labor. He died, and is that it? But the bigger story is, what's the big picture? D.D. Palmer used to talk about this a lot, and B.J. Palmer of chiropractic fame, who began chiropractic. What's the big picture? The big picture is that we're not just the sum of our parts. We are spiritual beings having a human experience. And can I belong to life again after this? Can I trust? Root chakra is all about belonging, your foundation. Do you belong here on earth? A lot of people don't feel like they belong here right now. Not necessarily right now in this context, but like always, forever, people have felt like, I don't think I'm really supposed to be here right now. They don't feel safe here. They don't feel grounded. They feel like leaving their body would be better. I'd rather be spiritual. I'd rather be a spirit than a human. You know, the angels always laugh because they think, you guys are crazy. You're going to the earth. You know how bad it is down there? You're brave. So that's why when I say, show me the good, that means I have to take action and see, what's the bigger story here? Is the bigger story, one of the things I thought, and I still think, I can be more compassionate with other people because I've been through this. You can't walk in somebody else's shoes unless you've been through it. So now I know what loss is. I understand it on a very personal level. It's not just an idea. And the deeper story is that not all life is not that life never breaks our heart. It's that love still holds us after. After our heart is broken, there's still love for us. So we have to rebuild trust with life. We have to be grounded after grief. We have to find safety again, because it doesn't feel safe when things slip out like that. And we have to return to life after death. And I'm going to quote my father-in-law, who was a pastor. He said, and you may have heard this, we walk through the valley of the shadow of death. We do not pitch a tent and live there. We keep going. That's right, amen. Can I get an amen? So what joy are you holding yourself from? What are you holding back from? Because it's there, it's all there for us. And some days are not as good as others. I can attest to that. Some days are not. But how do we get ourselves through it? Well, we have somebody that reminds us, that maybe lives with us, that reminds us that this is just one day, this isn't all the days. Or that we have ways of moving through this. So I teach people when I have them as patients, I teach them ways to move through these times, and we talk about that. And those things are really important too, because we want to make sure that we're actually taking action. And that's the thing that's really important about all of this. Look at the big picture and say, well, how do I fit in this? Where's the joy for me? Where can I find it? What can I do about that? It's not about becoming someone else. It's about becoming yourself. Because you're precious. You're the children of the Most High King. This is all here for you. What are you going to do about it? Wallow in it? Don't wallow in it. Clap with me. Up above my head, I hear music in the air. Up above my head, I hear music in the air. Up above my head, I hear music in the air. I really do believe there's joy up there. All in new song, I hear music in the air. All in new song, I hear music in the air. All in new song, I hear music in the air. I really do believe there's joy in here. Thank you so much, everybody. That's my talk. Thank you. If you have any questions, I'm happy to answer. You can ask about anything. I'm an open book.